listening to Crystal Clear Lore, a Wormsong production. Kenji Nakamura stood in the knee-deep snow outside the crumbling ryokan, his breath fogging in the frigid mountain air. 2 weeks. That was all the time his boss would spare him after the grueling project. 2 weeks to sell his inherited relic and get back to Tokyo before the new fiscal year devoured him. The building looked like it had been dying for decades. Paint peeled from the wooden beams, and one of the paper screens in the entrance was torn. Some inheritance, he thought bitterly. He shouldered his bag and pushed open the heavy door. A wave of cold air smelling of old tatami and wood smoke greeted him.
Irashimasu,
came a frail voice. An elderly woman bowed deeply behind the reception desk, her back curved with age. She straightened slowly, eyes widening when she saw him.
You must be Sora's nephew, Kenji-san, yes? The new owner?
Kenji gave a curt nod. That's right,
Welcome home.
she said, her voice warm in a way that felt strangely out of place in the empty, silent inn.
Shall I show you to the master suite?
He almost laughed at the word, master. Instead, Kenji followed the old woman down the dimly lit corridor. The floorboards creaked beneath his shoes, like old bones complaining about the weight of the living. The inn was oppressively silent. No distant laughter, no clink of sake cups, no muffled voices behind the shoji screens. In winter, he had at least expected a handful of guests seeking mountain solitude or onsen waters. Nothing. No guests at all? He asked. The woman's shoulders stiffened.
None, Kenji-sama. The last mistress, she had troubles that were never resolved before she passed.
Troubles? He echoed flatly. Leave me a list in the morning. I'll go through everything before I decide what to do at this place.
Yes, sir.
She slid open a door on the left.
This is the master suite.
Kenji stepped inside. The room was larger than he expected, with fresh tatami that still carried the faint scent of dried rushes. A thick futon had already been laid out in the center, the bedding turned down invitingly. For a moment, the exhaustion of the long Shinkansen ride and the bitter cold hit him all at once. He wanted nothing more than to collapse onto it. Thank you, he muttered, already loosening his tie. The old woman bowed deeply and began to back out. Just before she closed the door, she hesitated.
Sleep well, young master.
She said softly.
And please don't mind any noises you might hear tonight. Old buildings like this, they settle.
Kenji raised an eyebrow, but she was already gone, the door clicking shut behind her with a finality that felt heavier than it should have. He stood there a moment longer, staring at the perfectly made futon. Something about the room felt too neat, too expectant. Then, faintly, so faintly he almost convinced himself he imagined it, came the sound of small, bare feet padding across tatami somewhere down the hall, followed by a light, innocent giggle that dissolved into the winter silence. The next morning, Kenji sat cross-legged at the low, lacquered table in the master suite, surrounded by dusty ledgers and yellowed receipts. Pale winter light filtered through the shoji screens, doing little to warm the room. As he flipped through the pages, a pattern slowly emerged, one that made his stomach tighten. Every few days, sometimes every week, a new guest had checked in. They paid in cash, often for several nights in advance. Then, nothing. No checkout record, no forwarding address, just a name, a date, and a final payment that was never followed by another entry. He ran his finger down the columns again, frowning. Filthy thieves, he thought. They skipped out without paying the balance, and the old woman was too soft to chase him down. Yet something felt wrong. The dates stretched back years, long before his aunt's death. Dozens of names, dozens of disappearances, and in the margins, written in his aunt's neat, fading handwriting, the same word appeared again and again next to certain entries. Zashiki-Warashi. Kenji stared at the kanji, lips curling in irritation. Superstitious nonsense. He slammed the ledger shut, but the sound seemed to echo unnaturally loud in the empty inn. There was always only silence here, and the faint scent of plum blossoms that definitely hadn't been there a moment ago. The missing people were exactly why the ryokan was failing, Kenji realized with cold satisfaction. He could stop these guests from skipping out without paying, install better locks, demand deposits, maybe even threaten small claims court. Then the place could become instantly profitable, turn it around in a single season, sell it at a decent price, and be back in Tokyo before the cherry blossoms bloomed. He leaned back from the table, rubbing his stiff neck. Simple, practical, nothing a little modern management couldn't fix. A soft creak sounded from the corridor outside his room. Then it came again. The light, rapid patter of small bare feet on tatami, moving quickly past his door, accompanied by a high, delighted giggle that echoed strangely in the silent building. He stood up sharply, heart kicking harder than he cared to admit. "Oi!" he called out. "Who's there?" Silence answered him. Kenji crossed the room in 3 strides and slid the shoji screen open with more force than necessary. The corridor stretched away into shadow, perfectly empty. Dust motes drifted in the weak light. No footprints, no child. Nothing but the faint, sweet scent of plum blossoms lingering in the cold air. He exhaled through his teeth. "Kids from the village playing pranks," he muttered. "That's all it is." Still, as he turned back to the ledgers, he couldn't shake the feeling that the numbers on the pages had shifted slightly, as if someone small had leaned over his shoulder while he wasn't looking, tracing the names of the vanished guests with a tiny finger. A soft rustle came from the corner of the room, like paper sliding across tatami. He looked up. There, standing near the alcove where a faded scroll hung crookedly, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. She had messy black hair cut in a straight bob with blunt bangs, a faded red chanchanko vest over a small kimono. Her cheeks were flushed a deep, unnatural crimson, as if she had been running through the cold. She stood perfectly still, hands clasped in front of her, watching him with large, dark eyes that seemed far too old for her face. Kenji's breath caught. "Hey, kid! How did you get in here?" The girl tilted her head. When she spoke, her voice was light and clear, crisp like the winter air.
"You want the ryokan to prosper, don't you?"
Kenji stood slowly, heart hammering. "Where are your parents? This isn't a playground." She ignored the question.
"The ones who left without paying, they were rude. They complained about the cold. They left muddy footprints on the tatami. They spoke loudly on their phones and laughed at the old customs."
Her small mouth curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes.
"I made them leave."
A chill crawled down Kenji's spine. "You made them leave?" The girl nodded once, innocent as any child.
"Honor me. Keep the ryokan clean and quiet. Dismiss the guests who show no respect, those who treat these old walls like a cheap hotel. Do not allow them to mock what has stood for 300 years."
She took one barefooted step closer and the scent of plum blossoms grew stronger.
"Do this and I will bring guests who stay. I will bring good fortune. The ledgers will fill. The snow will not bury you."
Kenji swallowed hard. This wasn't a village kid. The way the light seemed to bend around her, the way her feet made no sound on the tatami. "And if I don't?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Her smile faded. The temperature in the room dropped sharply enough that his breath clouded.
"Then I will help the ryokan rest,
She whispered.
as I help the others. One by one, they will simply stop coming back until only the building remains.
She looked up at him with those ancient eyes.
And you must never sell it. This is my home now. If you try to leave it to strangers who do not understand, I will make sure you never leave either."
For a moment, the girl's form flickered, like a reflection on water, and Kenji caught a glimpse of something else. A small, shadowy figure with arms too long and a mouth stretched too wide in silent laughter. Then she was just a child again. She giggled once, bright and playful, and darted behind the sliding screen. When Kenji lunged forward and yanked it open, the corridor was empty. Only a single child-sized handprint remained on the dusty wooden frame, warm to the touch, as if she had been standing there only seconds ago. Kenji stared at it, chest tight. The ledger still lay open on the table behind him. In the margin beside the latest vanished guest's name, new characters had appeared in delicate, childish handwriting. Honor me. Do not sell. Kenji's hands were still trembling when he stormed out of the master suite. The child-sized handprint on the doorframe had already begun to fade, but the new ink in the ledger remained. Sharp, childish strokes that hadn't been there minutes earlier. He found the old woman in the kitchen, hunched over a pot of simmering miso. The smell of dashi and green onion did nothing to calm the chill lodged in his chest. "There was a little girl," he said without preamble, "in my room. Red vest, messy hair, maybe 6 years old. She spoke to me. She knew things about the guests, about the ryokan. Who the hell is she?" The old woman did not flinch. She stirred the pot once, set the ladle down, and turned to face him with the same calm, ancient eyes she had worn the night he arrived.
"Ah,"
she said softly.
"so she has shown herself to you already."
Kenji's mouth went dry. "You knew?" The woman wiped her hands on her apron and bowed her head. Not in greeting, but in something closer to reverence.
"That was your cousin, young master. Yuka, Sora's only daughter."
Kenji felt the floor tilt beneath him. "My cousin? Aunt Sora never mentioned."
"She died 23 years ago."
The old woman continued, voice quiet but steady.
"A sudden fever. The doctors in Morioka could do nothing. She was 6. After the funeral, your aunt brought her favorite red chanchanko and laid it in the alcove of the master's suite. That same night, the footsteps began. The laughter. The guests who disrespected the house started disappearing. But the ones who were kind, they returned year after year. The ledgers grew fat. The ryokan breathed again."
She met his gaze without blinking.
"Yuka never left. She became the Zashiki-Warashi of this house. She protects it. She brings fortune, but only to those who honor her. You heard her terms. Keep the old ways. Turn away the rude, the loud, the ones who treat these walls like a disposable hotel. Never sell. Never leave her alone again."
Kenji laughed once. A cracked, disbelieving sound. "This is insane. I have a life in Tokyo. A job. A salary that—"
"A salary that is killing you."
the old woman interrupted gently.
"I know how that life can be. 60-hour weeks. No sleep. No future except the next project. Yuka can give you more than that. She already has. Look at the ledger again tonight. You will see new reservations appearing in ink that was not there this morning. Respectful guests. Generous ones. The kind who return every winter and pay triple for the privilege of staying in a house that feels alive."
She stepped closer. The scent of plum blossoms drifted from her clothes, faint but unmistakable.
"Stay, Kenji-sama. Honor your cousin. Run the ryokan as it was meant to be run. In 1 season, you will earn more than you did in 3 years at that company. In 2 seasons, you will be free of Tokyo forever. The snow will not bury you. The walls will protect you. But if you fight her, if you try to sell..."
The old woman's eyes flickered toward the corridor behind him, where the sound of small bare feet had begun again. Slow, patient, waiting.
"You already know what happens then."
Kenji stood frozen, the weight of the empty inn pressing down on him. The ledgers, the handprint, the child's ancient eyes, the promise of a life that no longer ground him into dust. He closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them again, his voice was hoarse but steady. "Tell me what I have to do." The old woman smiled for the first time since he had arrived. Small, sad, and strangely proud.
"You must greet your cousin properly.
she explained.
She is waiting in the garden, barefoot in the snow, as she likes it.
Outside, beyond the sliding doors, the faint sound of a little girl's laughter rose into the cold mountain air, light and welcoming. The old woman led him through the back entrance, sliding open the heavy wooden door that groaned like an old man waking from sleep. Outside, the garden was buried under a thick blanket of fresh snow. Moonlight turned everything silver blue, and the bare branches of the plum trees cast long, skeletal shadows across the white expanse. Yuka stood in the center of the garden path, barefoot despite the freezing cold. Her small red chanchanko stood out like a drop of blood against the snow. She wasn't shivering. She wasn't breathing fog into the air. She simply waited, hands clasped in front of her, head tilted as she watched him approach. Kenji's boots crunched loudly with every step. The contrast felt obscene, his heavy, clumsy presence against her silent, weightless form. When he stopped a few meters away, Yuka smiled. It was the same innocent, too-old smile she had given him in the suite.
You came,
she said softly.
That is a good start, cousin.
Kenji swallowed. His throat felt raw from the cold. The old woman said I should greet you properly. What does that mean? Yuka's dark eyes sparkled with childish delight.
An offering. Every Zashiki-Warashi needs one to know her master is sincere.
She pointed one tiny finger toward a flat stone lantern half buried in snow near the plum tree.
There.
Kenji walked over and brushed the snow from the stone. Someone, probably the old woman, had already placed a small lacquered tray there. On it rested 3 items. A single perfect plum, still glistening with frost. A child's wooden top, painted bright red. And a tiny cup of warmed sake that somehow hadn't frozen solid. He looked back at Yuka. What do I do?
Offer them to me,
she said, stepping closer. Her bare feet left no prints in the snow.
Speak from the heart. Tell me you will honor the house. Tell me you will stay. Then I will accept, or I will refuse.
Kenji's pulse thundered in his ears. Part of him still wanted to laugh at the absurdity. A grown man performing some archaic ritual for a ghost in a frozen garden. But the memory of the ledger, the handprint, and the promise of freedom from Tokyo kept him silent. He knelt slowly in the snow, the cold instantly soaking through his trousers. With both hands, he lifted the tray and held it out toward her at chest height, the traditional way he had once seen in old films. Yuka, he began, voice low and unsteady. I offer these to you. The plum, the toy, the sake. I will honor the ryokan. I will keep it clean and quiet. I will turn away guests who disrespect these walls. And he hesitated, the words sticking like ice in his throat. I will not sell it. I will not stay. If you help me prosper here, I will stay. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Yuka stepped forward until she stood directly in front of the tray. She reached out with both small hands and gently took the wooden top first. The moment her fingers touched it, the toy began to spin on its own in her palm, faster and faster, emitting a soft melodic hum that sounded almost like distant laughter. She smiled wider.
Accepted.
Next, she picked up the plum, brought it to her lips, and took a single delicate bite. Juice ran down her chin like dark blood. But when she lowered the fruit, the bite mark was already healing, the plum whole again. Finally, she lifted the tiny cup of sake, drank it in one swallow, and let out a contented sigh. A warm breeze, impossible in the dead of winter, brushed past Kenji's face, carrying the heavy scent of blooming plum blossoms. Yuka looked down at him, eyes gleaming with ancient satisfaction.
Good cousin,
she whispered.
You have chosen well tonight. From this moment, the ryokan will begin to prosper. Respectful guests will come. Money will flow like the spring thaw. Your old life in Tokyo will feel like a bad dream.
She leaned closer, her breath impossibly warm, brushing his ear.
But remember my warning. If you ever break your word, if you try to leave me or sell my home.
The wooden top suddenly stopped spinning in her hand. The garden grew deathly silent. Yuka's smile stretched just a fraction too wide.
I will come for you last.
Then she giggled, bright, playful, and utterly chilling, and darted away into the shadows beneath the plum trees. Her small form flickered once, twice, and vanished completely, leaving only a single set of bare footprints in the snow that slowly filled in as Kenji watched. He remained kneeling, heart pounding, snow soaking his knees. In the distance, from somewhere inside the ryokan, he heard the old woman humming an old lullaby. 1 year later, Kenji Nakamura stood on the Engawa of the now thriving ryokan, watching fat snowflakes drift lazily through the lantern light as a group of contented guests laughed softly over cups of warm sake in the main hall. The ledgers were fuller than he had ever dared hope. Reservations booked solid through the next 2 winters. Glowing reviews praising the peaceful, almost magical atmosphere, and profits that had already surpassed 3 years of his old Tokyo salary. He no longer missed the endless meetings or the soul-crushing commute. Instead, he found quiet satisfaction in polishing the wooden beams, tending the plum trees, and personally greeting each respectful visitor who honored the old customs. Every evening, as the inn settled into comfortable silence, he would catch the soft patter of small bare feet racing down the corridors, followed by Yuka's bright, familiar giggle, echoing from the shadows. Sometimes he would leave a fresh plum or a spinning top on the stone lantern in the garden, and in return the Zashiki-Warashi kept her promise. The ryokan prospered. The walls felt warm and alive, and Kenji, for the first time in his life, felt strangely, dangerously content, even as he wondered, on the coldest nights, whether he had truly chosen freedom or had simply become the latest devoted servant to a house that would never let him leave.
Welcome back to Crystal Clear Lore. I'm Crystal Lance, and Brady and I are back in the recording hole.
Yeah, it's more of a square, but
it's
a hole. It's a nook.
A hole.
It's a nook.
Holes can be square. You just have to put the extra effort in.
Yeah, there's a lot of measuring involved usually to make it a square.
A lot of cussing too.
Yep. Anytime you have to measure anything, typically cussing's involved. I mean, that's my experience. If you have a cutting and cussing experience, let me know in the comments. But anyway.
Nope, this week is Zashiki-Warashi. Yeah.
What she said.
It's been a while since we've been to Japan, so I thought it'd be good to do another Japanese. I don't know if they're spirits. I don't think they qualify as yokai, but they might.
We'll say they're yokai-ish.
Yeah, is
that too millennial? Yokai adjacent?
That's pretty millennial.
Is that also too millennial?
It's so millennial. Thanks for aging us.
Dang it. What was it, the Freddie Prinze Jr. reference you made in I don't remember what episode that
God, what episode was that?
Oh, it wasn't long. It was a couple ago. But yeah, I was like, I don't even know if anyone knows who that is anymore.
We're old.
Yeah, but anyway, we can do an episode about how we're old later.
Yes. So this week, the Zashiki-Warashi, they are Japanese spirits that live in parlors or storage rooms, particularly of old established homes. That 300-year-old ryokan that was the setting for the story, that's kind of about the age of most of the homes that usually have a Zashiki-Warashi.
Like older homes?
Older homes.
Has to be kind of older homes for...
Usually.
Maybe this is something over time, obviously.
Well, and sometimes it seems like, we'll get there, but I always kind of wonder if they just get attached to people and they're like, well, just follow.
I'm thinking about ghosts sometimes or spirits or anything like that. I always wonder if they... Because you always see the stories where they don't want the person in the house and they hate them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might just want a friend.
They might want a friend. I like friends.
Or some of them might want a friend. And I don't know. Nobody ever makes a story about that except Casper. And can we agree that was like I don't know.
Casper
it was a pretty good
sad.
movie. I was going to say masterpiece, but that might be extreme and exaggeration.
Casper was very, very sad.
As far as like a ghost movie, though, it was a masterpiece.
True. Yes. Casper's just, there's implications there.
So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. You don't think about that often.
Not normally. I'm going to just call them Zashiki for short, because otherwise that's a mouthful.
Do you create ghosts if you believe in imaginary friends strong enough?
Where do you think imaginary friends come from? I'm pretty sure they're just dead kids.
Oh, God. Okay, well.
Anyway.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not sleeping tonight.
You don't need to. Zashiki are pranksters by nature, but they will bring good luck to the family that lives with them.
I could use a little bit of that.
No, you're not allowed. We don't live in Japan.
She never lets me have anything cool.
They are mostly found in the Iwate prefecture, which is one of the northern prefectures on the large southern island. Which is, if you look at a map, you'll be able to find easily where it is.
Yeah, I mean, we also live in the modern century, so you can just Google map it.
This is true.
Now, the spelling part that's the tricky part. Good luck.
There are reports of Zashiki in other neighboring prefectures, so they might have spread out a little bit, but they're mostly in Iwate.
See, that's another one of those ones about the spelling.
Yeah, that's true.
Iwate?
Iwate.
Okay, let me take a guess. Iwati?
Ooh, very close. It ends in E, not I.
I didn't think it was going to be an E because I thought that would be too Latin.
No, because Japanese all rhymes, right? So I is I, and then wa, and then te.
Iwate.
Iwate.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's close.
You're very close. Zashiki-Warashi also go by Zashiki-Boko, which Zashiki-Boko translates to parlor boy, when Zashiki-Warashi translates to parlor child. So they live in those kind of types of rooms, right?
Yeah. But what's parlor exactly?
Like a front room.
If I didn't grow up in a big enough house.
Well, I mean, it's what we would
I had
call
a mid-century house, so I think parlor was a little bit before that when I grew up. So
it's like the sitting room, like the living room is what we would call it.
Well, okay, then okay. So it's just another word for living room.
Yes, but
it was probably differently. It was probably arranged differently.
Well, okay, so
in older houses.
Yes, because you have like an entryway, right? You have the foyer.
Foyer.
You said it right. I'm so proud of you. And then you have like the sitting rooms off of that would be the parlors.
I kind of get it.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to walk you through an old home.
Yeah, we got to go to one of those big old homes and because there's a lot of those rooms I always hear or read in books and I never really understand what that is. Because we just had like living room, dining room, but it was kind of mostly part of the living room. And then like a hallway with some bedrooms, like kitchen, like standard, normal, modern house layout. You know what I mean?
Right.
We didn't have a foyer or a mud room or anything like that or all those weird different kind of things.
A mud room is modern.
Not really. That's still like the 40s or something, isn't it? But that's still modern.
I would say that's modern.
I say modern starts at like 50s and above.
Okay, but when
we don't need to just sorry, we're
when we're looking at
I
things
digress.
Hundreds of years old, that's modern.
I digress so hard. I'm sorry.
Back to Zashiki-Warashi. So they do change their appearance, but they all have hair in a bob style, and they're usually wearing traditional Japanese clothing.
So like they just look like Nicki Minaj?
I have no idea what she looks like nowadays.
The bob haircut.
Is that what she looks like nowadays?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
This might age me more, and let's say Uma Thurman, like Pulp Fiction. So anyway, get off my lawn. I'm sorry, guys.
Zashiki appear to be between the ages of 3 to 15, but the most common age is 5 to 6. The males, like the boys, usually wear black or indigo clothing, and they're kind of like a splash pattern, something like a splash of paint on them type of thing. And females or girls are usually in white, blue, or even red. However, it is Japan, and Japan is there's a lot of stuff with red in particular. So here, red can be a warning. If their faces are red, or if they're wearing red clothing when they hadn't previously, they're literally getting ready to leave their family.
Ooh.
It's the end.
Is that real?
Yeah.
What?
Because there's a whole thing about their color.
You have to do it on purpose?
It's complicated. We're going to get into Japan color lore because if you want to, we can get into it, but it's going to be...
No. We don't have to go deep dive. I was not understanding in the context of why would you do that? You're going to go disappear.
So
as a ritual, do you need to?
The Zashiki will probably appear, and then there's you're giving you a warning, hey, you're screwing up. Keep it up, and I'm gone.
Oh, I had something mixed up.
Yeah,
I thought people were putting on red and then going and disappearing.
No. Zashiki were wearing red when they weren't previously.
Oh, got it. Okay, we're back on track now. I understand.
There we go. The Zashiki, they usually play little pranks, kind of like Yuka in the story, running around Kenji and kind of just making noises. They will leave footsteps in ash or bleaching powder, and they'll just scare the other residents. Sometimes they'll make weird sounds at night. such as like a spinning wheel noise or even someone just rustling papers. They do tend to bring prosperity with them when they settle in, but they will also take that with them if they leave. So there's this big, like a giant record of Japanese folklore called the Tono Monogatari.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Which is a folklore stories and traditions. It was written by Kunio Yanagita, and there are several stories about the Zashiki-Warashi here. So one set tells of a family that was completely decimated by a foodborne illness after their Zashiki-Warashi left. While another states that a wealthy family's Zashiki was shot by an arrow that was fired by a kid. It left, and then the family completely got plummeted into poverty.
Oh no.
Just because, whoops.
That's probably what happened to me.
If you have a Zashiki, you want to keep it happy, obviously, so that doesn't happen to you. And you want to treat it like it was a beloved family member. Leaving offerings of sweets, rice cakes, and even toys can ensure that it will stay with their family. They usually have like a favorite room, so Yuka's was the garden, but that's where you're going to leave out the offerings. And they are sticklers for cleanliness, like Brady, so maintaining an organized home is quite important.
I might start to like these little fellas.
Also, do not forget to thank them for any help that they give, because nobody wants to do a lot of stuff and then not even get to thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on. I don't like to do a bunch of stuff and not get thanked.
Okay, now we're going to slip into the darkness a little bit, because these guys don't sound that bad, right? They sound super great.
I'm liking them so far. Okay, I could put one of these little guys in my pocket and have a little buddy.
Yeah.
What's the catch?
Well, have you heard of Usugoro? Fantastic. That means you probably haven't heard about kids getting killed.
Thank God. I mean, I've heard of kids getting killed, but only in the context of the stories you write.
Yeah, unfortunately. So the folklorist Kizen Sasaki wrote that they are the spirits of children who were crushed and buried at home, most notably through Usugoro. Usugoro was, I don't think it's still practiced.
Back up.
Better not be.
You said crushed and buried at home.
Hold on, it gets worse.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but it kicked in for a second. I was like, you're just going to go right past that?
No, I was going to explain it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for my impatience. Let's go.
Usugoro was a type of infanticide that involved crushing children with stones to reduce the numbers of mouths needing to be fed. Afterwards, it was customary to bury them beneath the kitchen or in the dirt floor doma. So in Japanese homes, the dome is like the entryway, kind of where you have the dirt and then it steps up where they change your shoes into slippers. That's a doma. It can also be like a workshop or other things, but that's usually that area.
To reduce the amount of mouths that need to be fed?
Yep.
Did I hear that correctly?
Yep. They killed their kids because they couldn't feed them.
I can't even imagine.
I'm so happy we're born in this time.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, how blessed are we that our kids just don't eat? They refuse to eat stuff they just don't want to eat.
Right.
And, wow, okay. That's funny.
That was super dark. What part of that was funny?
The irony.
Oh, okay.
Our kids.
Sorry, I was thinking funny. Ha, not ironic funny.
No. Just the irony between it's the juxtaposition, I suppose, that I created here.
I thought I was going to have to fire you as my producer and put you into a mental ward to get you analyzed.
Oh, there's layers, because I was being highly sarcastic when I said that's funny.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. I'm trying to cope. This is what I get, Let's do a podcast.
Okay, so there's other ways that maybe the Zashiki come into being. In the Zashiki-Warashi wo mita hitobito,
Nailed it.
which translates to the people who saw Zashiki-Warashi, written by Sadako Takahashi, some were said to have appeared as the result of a curse that construction workers caused by taking bits of wood from a doll and inserting it between pillars and beams.
Okay, it has to be a wooden doll.
Well, okay, if you think about it, because especially when they're older homes, right? They're built with the tongue and groove.
Yeah, they don't, it's not a lot of fasteners.
No. So they're almost like puzzle pieces, but you put little pieces of a wood doll in there and it creates a curse.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's diabolical.
I assume that the owner of the house was being a jerk and they said, you know what? I'm done. One crazy theory I found, and I think I need to address this or it'll get brought up. There's a theory out there that they are kappa in disguise. I'm not buying it.
Kappa?
Kappa. They're kind of like turtle-y-esque yokai that are very much associated with water without diving into kappa. We will go over them.
Okay, yeah, just like a brief. Yeah, it's just like I'm not sure if I've ever even heard of that.
Maybe I just know them because they're Harry Potter. Anyway.
That probably is why you know them.
Kappas love cucumbers, though, but that's not associated with the Zashiki-Warashi at all. Like, there's nothing about...
I think turtles do, too.
Do they? They probably do.
I don't know. I seen like a video of like a turtle nibbling on a carrot.
Oh, you know what?
It's like really cute.
I bet you they love cucumbers then, too.
Okay, you listeners, go find the turtle eating vegetables videos. They're so cute.
They're very cute.
You're not going to regret it at all. It's just going to improve your life.
Well, in a similar vein to the cucumber being a make or break thing for the theory about them being kappa in disguise, Sashiki's appearance relating to like kids can be seen as a sign of divinity. For children in Japan, and I could be wrong, but what I found was that they are thought to be the connection between gods and humanity in some folk beliefs, right?
That's pretty important.
Well, they're very, if you think about it too, like in a lot of, I would say witchy lore, that kids are new to this plane, right? So they come from the other side and then they're kind of newer. So they are kind of a link.
Fair.
They're young, they're innocent, they're pretty...
A little bit more susceptible to be influenced, you could say.
This is true, but...
No, I just mean like used as like, in that way.
Oh, you mean for like...
It just might be easier for them.
Probably.
For them to be like the proxy or whatever.
Probably.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Summary, we're going to wrap it up real quick. Zashiki-Warashi are spirits or yokai that appear as children. This can be due to a divine nature, a curse because your construction workers are mad at you for being a jerk, or probably the most often one is probably infanticide. Yeah. Although they are pranksters and mischievous by their nature, they will bring prosperity to the family they choose to reside with. If you have one, make sure to treat them kindly and even offer gifts and gratitude to stay on their good side. Because after all, who wouldn't want some gratitude for all the work they're doing?
You guys will find me in the welfare line soon because I'm giving all of my stuff as gifts to all of these spirits, yokais, folklore, demons, cryptids, that's the word I was trying to think of. All these things are starting to want gifts and money, guys. I'm going broke.
I
can't sleep at night because there's all these things trying to kill me and haunt me, and I'm going broke.
I do not want you giving things to demons. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
They're just taking it. I don't always give it.
No.
They see me giving it away to the ones I need to give it to, and then other ones come and just take. You don't understand. It's a nightmare.
No.
Well, besides me never sleeping again and being broke, I hope that made the Zashiki-Warashi.
Ooh, good job.
Thanks. Crystal clear.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Threads and Insta at Wormsong Media. That's WYRMSONG Media. Want to reach out to us? Email us at wormsongmedia@gmail. Again, that's WYRMSONGMEDIA@gmail.
Yeah, waiter, can I get 3 Zashiki-Warashi, please? And the ryokan on the side?